The shift in Patrick Star's character is a classic example of Flanderization in animation. Originally, in the first few seasons, Patrick was merely a lovable goof, a dim-witted but supportive best friend whose lack of intellect was often funny due to his genuine innocence. However, in later seasons, his stupidity became his defining and overwhelming trait, frequently crossing the line into aggressive ignorance and mean-spirited behavior that actively harmed Spongebob, turning him into a complete moron. In the Spongebob episode Wet Painters, the famous time card gags, which are typically voiced by the French narrator, is interrupted by Patrick holding up his own time card that simply reads 3 hours later and immediately remarks,
"Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards."
This is a hilarious and memorable example of the show breaking the fourth wall. The fictional city of Bikini Bottom is named after and situated beneath the real-world Bikini Atoll, a coral reef located in the Marshall Islands in the Pacific Ocean. This location is highly significant because the Bikini Atoll was used by the United States government as a primary site for nuclear weapons testing between 1946 and 1958, including the detonation of the massive Castle Bravo hydrogen bomb. The bizarre nature, talking animals, and wild mutations of the residents of Bikini Bottom are widely understood by fans, and sometimes alluded to by creators, to be the result of the residual radiation from these real-life atomic tests. The initial name for the main character of SpongeBob SquarePants was SpongeBoy, a prototype used during the creation of the show. This name had to be changed to SpongeBob when the Nickelodeon legal department discovered it was already copyrighted. While the prevailing fan theory for years claimed the name belonged to a mop, insider accounts and trademark research suggest the conflict likely stemmed from a different product, possibly an art-themed pencil brand or a character from Flaming Carrot Comics. Creator Steven Hillenburg ensured the final name retained Sponge, so viewers wouldn't mistake the character for Cheeseman. SpongeBob's canonical age is a famously confusing topic, officially tied to the date July 14, 1986, as briefly seen on his driver's license in early episodes like Sleepy Time. However, this birth date was quickly dropped from later license appearances to align with the show's floating timeline. While he owns a home and has a full-time job, suggesting he is an adult, likely mid-20s, his perpetual attendance at boating school and childish nature keep his true age intentionally ambiguous, a hallmark of classic cartoon logic. SpongeBob's canonical age is a famously confusing topic, officially tied to the date July 14, 1986, as briefly seen on his driver's license in early episodes like Sleepy Time. However, this birth date was quickly dropped from later license appearances to align with the show's floating timeline. While he owns a home and has a full-time job, suggesting he is an adult, likely mid-20s, his perpetual attendance at boating school and childish nature keep his true age intentionally ambiguous, a hallmark of classic cartoon logic. First appearing as a humorous one-off sound effect in the 1999 episode Boating School, the gag evolved into a recognizable running joke across the series. The 2018 Season 11 episode elevated the background character, Fred, to the lead role, exploring his motivation for injury, a crush on Nurse Bazooka, through a humorous and plot-heavy narrative. The self-referential nature of the episode led to very mixed critical reception, with some praising its inventive use of a long-running gag, while others criticized it as an example of the show relying too heavily on past material.
The history of SpongeBob SquarePants is essentially split between the universally loved Golden Era and the much-debated later seasons. A key complaint about modern SpongeBob is its deep reliance on nostalgia, a strategy used to pull back adult viewers who watched the show as kids. The show is filled with recent episodes with references to classic, old-school gags and minor characters whose original appearances were funny because they were surprising one-offs. This means whole plots are built around things like the My Leg, fish, or faces like Doodlebob and Nosferatu are brought back just for the sake of it. This constant focus on its own history makes many feel the newer show admits it can't match the creativity of its own older seasons.
The identity of Old Man Jenkins has been a recurring joke and source of confusion throughout the series, as the name was intentionally applied to a variety of different elderly background characters across different episodes. This established a meta-gag where Old Man Jenkins essentially served as a placeholder name for any eccentric, minor old male fish. To address this ambiguity in later seasons, production staff began to distinguish these characters. Notably, the specific character often referred to as Incidental 83, the pale green fish with glasses and a white shirt, was officially given the distinct name Old Man Walker to help separate him from the primary Old Man Jenkins character.
The SpongeBob episode, One Course Meal, focuses on Mr. Krabs discovering Plankton's intense, crippling fear of whales. Exploiting this, Mr. Krabs psychologically torments him for over 2 weeks by repeatedly stalking him while dressed as his daughter, Pearl, a whale. This relentless harassment drives Plankton to a state of complete despair. The episode is widely considered one of the worst in the series' history. Its infamous reputation stems from a controversial scene where Plankton is shown lying in the street, wishing to be run over by a bus. This dark depiction of a character being driven to a suicidal state was condemned by viewers, cementing its status as one of the show's worst.